Loops are used to execute a group of statements, a statement, or a block of code multiple times. Consider a scenario where you have to turn on and turn off an LED 5 times. One option to achieve this task is to write the statements for turning on and turning off the LED 5 times, and the other more convenient option is to go for loops. Now, in case of a loop, this task can be achieved by using the turn on LED and turn off LED statements just once and including them in a loop, and also controlling the number of times these statements are executed. Next, we'll see the basic flow or structure of a loop. At the start, we typically initialize a variable to keep track of the number of times the loop has executed. Next, a condition is checked. Now, generally, the condition is whether or not the loop has executed the desired number of times. So, in case of our LED example, we'll check whether the initialized variable at the start is less than 5. If the condition is true, the blocks of code inside the loop will be executed once, and again the condition is evaluated. Now this looping process will continue as long as the condition is true. Once the condition is false or evaluates to false, the loop terminates and the next statement after the loop is executed. So by using this looping process, I can control the number of times the statements inside this loop are executed. After this, we'll see the two basic loops, that is while loop and for loop, which are used in embedded C, and some examples of it. So now we'll look at the syntax of a while loop. As the name suggests, this loop will go on executing the code statements as long as the condition is true or evaluates to true. Now, the code statements which are written inside these curly braces is called as the body of the loop, and only these statements will be executed. The infinite loop. Now in case of the condition checks, the result is binary, that is either 1 or 0 or true or false. That is if the condition is satisfied or is not satisfied. So instead of checking the condition, if I wish to execute the code statements infinite number of times, that is as long as I supply power to my system, I can use the while true loop or while 1 loop. This true here can also be replaced by the number 1. Next, we'll see some examples of the while loop. So here's an example of a while loop. At the start, I am declaring and defining a loop control variable named I and initializing its value to 0. Now this variable I is referred to as loop control variable in many literatures, as it controls the iterations or the number of times a loop is executed. Then I'll follow the initialization statement with the keyword while and the condition check in the brackets. Then this is followed by the body of the loop. Now inside the body of the loop, it is necessary to update or increment the value of the loop control variable, which I am doing here by this statement. Now this plus plus is called as the post increment operator, which is equivalent to incrementing the value of I by 1 every time this statement is executed. Instead of this, I can even write the statement like this: I is equal to I plus 1 followed by a semicolon, in both the cases of course. Now let us examine the operation of this while loop in more detail. Initially, the value of the loop control variable I will be 0. Now the condition check will evaluate to true since 0 is less than 2. The body of the loop will be executed once, and also the loop control variable value will be updated and it will now be 1. On the next condition check, 1 is less than 2, hence the condition will evaluate to true and the body of the loop will be repeated the second time. Now on the next condition check, the value of the variable is 2 and 2 is less than 2 will return false, and hence the loop will terminate. Instead of initializing or the value of the variable to 0, I can even use a positive number and use a decrement operator here. But one should be very careful in defining the condition checks. Next, we'll look at the for loop. The for loop is logically similar to while loop, but differs in terms of its syntax. So this is the basic syntax of a for loop. The for keyword followed by an open round bracket and a closed round bracket. Now within these two round brackets, generally the initialization statement for the loop control variable, the condition check statement, and the updation of this variable are written down. All these statements are separated by semicolon, as you can see here. Then within a set of two curly braces, the body of the loop is written. All the statements which are written between these two curly braces will be a part of this for loop. This syntax will be more clear after we see an example. So here's an example of a for loop. I am declaring an integer variable I, then the for keyword, two round brackets, the initialization of the loop counter variable or the loop control variable I to 0, next the condition check statement, and then the loop control variable updation. This is followed by two brace brackets inside which I can write the statements to be executed or the body of the loop. In terms of execution flow, the for loop is exactly similar to the while loop. That is, the initialization of the loop control variable, then the condition check, then the body of the loop is executed, followed by the updation of the loop control variable, then the next condition check, and this looping process is continued as long as my condition evaluates to true. I can even use decrement operator, or also known as the post decrement operator, and I can initialize my loop control variable to 3, but I should take care while defining my condition. In this case, I am defining my condition as I greater than 0. This for loop 2 will be executed thrice. If you notice the while loop that we discussed earlier, there is a distinction in the condition check statement that was written here and that is written here. In this case, whenever my loop control variable reaches the value 2, the loop is terminated. While in this case, whenever my loop control variable I reaches to 2, the body of the loop is executed because the condition check statement here is less than equal to, whereas here it was less than. So this loop will be executed thrice. This marks the end of this tutorial. I hope you found this useful. Thank you.